Relief Valve podcast, filmed in front of a live studio audience. It's me getting chased around by trannies. Ah! And we come around the corner and I'm chasing the trannies. America's a silly place. Biden falls upstairs again. I don't even know if I can play this, but I don't care. The show's like 50 years old. I thought we'd go with a new intro today. Yeah, let's play this idiot falling upstairs. Whoa, whoopsie! Oh, whoopsie! Oh, did he do it twice? No, he tries to do another little hop. I'm going up the stairs. No, that's fine. That's just a trick. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Friday roundup of the Relief Valve podcast. For our visual viewers here, you get to see Dementia Joe getting onto Air Force One and falling up the stairs again because he's a fucking moron. This was him leaving Poland after he did another speech where he rambled on with nonsensical garbage. Talking about how everything's going great when in fact it isn't. And then he also went to Ukraine to, meet with his old buddy Zelensky, give him more taxpayer money, while completely ignoring multiple train derailments all around the country. But thank God we're funneling more money to a corrupt regime in Ukraine. So, hi everyone. Hope you're having a great Friday, and or at least you will be when you get out of work. I'm looking at the same thing, and we'll get this out of the way, and hopefully have a good weekend as well. So let's. All right, so we got that going. We're online here. Okay, so one of the things that really hit me here, and the stories were over the past couple of days, was, I don't know if you guys have seen this, there's been a slew of kids being just beat up, and innocent defenseless ones. I think the most were a couple of younger girls, and one or two maybe were boys as well. And I don't know if it's a TikTok trend that's going on. It's all being recorded, so you're getting to see this, and it ends up being online. And these kids just attacking these girls. And then, of course, the school just kind of like, oh, well, we've spoken to him, and we wagged our finger at him, and we told him that was really bad, so everything's good now. And it's just awful what's happening to these kids. The mother of a 9-year-old Florida girl who was brutally beaten on the school bus has revealed that just 1 week before the video of her daughter went viral, her son was also pummeled in the very same way. The mother, identified as Jenny, told DailyMail.com that she wants Jenny... laugh is like a box of chocolates. That she wants justice to be done for her children, who says they're being bullied because they are new to Coconut Palm K-8 Academy in Homestead, Florida. As American Wire News reported, the younger siblings were allegedly assaulted by two older students who punched her son, knocking him down before attacking his younger sister. The girl was repeatedly hit in the head as the fellow students looked on. This is Twitter, and it looks like everybody that are attacking the white children are all black. So this tough black boy is just multiple double punches to this young white girl's head. Absolutely horrific. Here comes this piece of trash little younger brother in dreads, and he starts taking shots at the little girl too. So just absolute garbage human beings, and with likely garbage parents as well. 1 week prior, it was a little boy who was allegedly the target of the bully's wrath, and as with the attack on his sister, the incident was caught on camera. There was another video, it was Mail Online video, and it's just showing the pummeling a little bit closer. And this wannabe tough guy piece of trash is just absolutely hammering this poor little girl's head. I mean, absolute garbage human being. It's difficult to watch. According to Jenny, the family had been homeless in the weeks leading up to the assaults due to the loss of jobs. The mother of four set up a GoFundMe, had only recently been able to move into a new apartment close to the school. Since enrolling her 3 oldest kids in the school, Jenny says they have nothing but problems. We've had to get my daughter another appointment with the concussion department, but it is a real struggle because they're booked for the year, Jenny told the Daily Mail. She has had constant headaches, a lot of nausea. She is not herself, and she is not sleeping a lot, which could be linked back to the emotional trauma she suffered. It's all very overwhelming, she admitted, and we're going into the situation from one where we were homeless, and we were finally able to get into a place and transition the kids into school. We've been there just a little more than a month, and this is just devastating, she continued. My husband has been forced to miss work, and he doesn't get PTO, but he obviously wants to be there for our kids. It is putting us back into a hard situation. We need to hire lawyers for this and help raise money for medical care and legal help. Following an investigation by school police of the attack on the little girl, a 15-year-old piece of garbage was suspended for repeatedly punching her in the head and was issued a civil citation. Oh boy, I bet he's learned his lesson. According to Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle, a citation is not enough. No kidding. We believe that based on the evidence and the circumstances, the use of a civil citation was incompatible with the level of violence displayed by the 15-year-old against this much younger and smaller victim, Fernandez-Rundle said Tuesday, according to the New York Post. As a result, we have filed criminal battery charges with our juvenile courts. Good. Jenny says she feels for the teen's parents, but her children need justice. I want to feel for the teen's parents. The teen's parents have absolutely failed this kid. They're probably garbage themselves. And this is the reason that this piece of trash thinks you're a real manly man if you punch a little 9-year-old girl multiple times in the head. This is a garbage human being with garbage parents. I don't feel bad for them at all. All of them should receive the same treatment that this poor little girl and her brother received. As a mother, I feel for them. You shouldn't. Their own child is facing charges. He should. But a lesson has to be learned and responsibility has to be taken. For everyone, the parents should be responsible for this too. She told the Daily Mail, my daughter has so much life left to live for this to happen to her. Justice does need to be served because this happened to both of my children. We are hoping that people can learn a lesson from this worldwide. Jenny says she will now be homeschooling your children. I don't blame her. With garbage like this in your kid's school, you have to hope that this is an isolated incident and it isn't going to happen again. It is very sad how we've just overcome one thing and another like this comes up right away, she said. We're just here trying to be a happy family despite everything. That's what these kids deserve. And my heart goes out to these people. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their home. They're trying to restart their life. They try to follow the rules and do the right thing and put their children back in school. And garbage ends up attacking them for no reason at all. And boy, it would be a shame if these couple garbage kids had the same thing happen to them when they returned back to school. That sure would be a shame. I'm not advocating for anything. I'm just saying that would be a shame. If their heads got pummeled on the bus or in school, it would be a shame. And there was another story where, I don't know, see if I didn't even find it here, right? Bear with me 1 second. Let me see, I think this was the one. So this was a teen girl was filmed beating a student at a school, and this poor girl, I think it was New Jersey, Central Regional High School is facing New Jersey Community. I know. I think this is the one. It's about the same one. Let me double check and make sure here. That I believe it was in New Jersey. It was. This poor girl was another one. Again, white teenage girl, very pretty. And I know that doesn't make a difference, but it's just young, her whole life ahead of her, right? Again, videoed in school, being beaten, kicked on the ground by 2 other pieces of garbage. She ended up committing suicide. She's dead now because of this. So you got the garbage attacking a little girl on a bus in Florida, another one in New Jersey, and this, you want to talk about gun violence? I fuck the gun violence. This, you don't need to take people's rights away to own guns. It's shit like this that needs to stop. Children are we're all garbage human beings, right? In one degree or another, we all end up we're all sinners. We've all done something, right? It's the kids that are absolutely innocent, and they haven't done anything, at least up to this point, where you run into the garbage ones. But the kids are absolutely innocent. They're just trying to live their lives the way they're being told to live them, right? They have to go to school. They have to learn responsibility. They have to do all this stuff, and they're thrown into this horrific life that we're all participating in together. And they can't even make it past 9 or past lower double digits, and they're just killing themselves and they're opting out of the life. It's horrific that this is happening. So the classmate accused of a vicious hallway attack at Central Regional High School is facing an additional conspiracy to commit aggravated assault charge, prosecutors say. Here's some of the video here. I know our live viewers are just going to be able to see this, but you got two. I think it's two girls. I don't know if it's a boy and a girl. They've blurred out the faces because they're minors. They've got her on the ground up against the lockers. They're kicking her, punching her, not allowing her to get back up. Someone else is recording this and not doing anything. Students are protesting bullying after teen commits suicide at the Bayville, Ocean County. Why didn't any of you jump in and help this girl? How about, instead of your stupid protest, why didn't you help this girl? Why didn't you stop those other two bitches, whoever was doing that? One of 4 New Jersey students seen attacking Adriana Kuch, K-U-C-H, Kuch, in a school hallway 2 days before she died by suicide is facing an additional assault charge, according to authorities. The teenage girl was charged on Thursday with conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, Ocean County Prosecutor Bradley D. Billheimer said in the statement. The juvenile, who has not been identified because of her age, had earlier been charged with harassment. She should be identified anyway. She's part of having a young girl kill herself because of her actions. Put her name all over TV. Adriana, 14, was viciously attacked in a hallway at a Central Regional High School in Berkeley Township in New Jersey, which is a shit state, on shit town and a shit state on February, the 1st of February. A video of the gang attack was later posted to TikTok showing the freshman being hit over the head with a water bottle before others joined in. She was found dead in her Bayview home 2 days later. Her father, Michael Kutch, has previously said Adriana was bullied and harassed for years and has blamed her suicide on the school's interaction. And for everyone in this live view, this is a picture of the poor girl here. Mr. Billheimer said the juvenile has been served with a copy of the criminal aggravated assault complaint and released pending further court appearances. She shouldn't even be released. She should be held without bail. Ocean County prosecutors had previously filed criminal charges of aggravated assault, conspiracy to commit aggravated assault, and harassment against 4 of Adriana's classmates. Adriana's heartbroken friends and classmates have held protests and spoken out about how the school had ignored bullying allegations for years. CRHS students and parents confronted school administrators over their failure to act on bullying allegations at an emotional board meeting last week. The fallout from Adriana's death led District Superintendent Triantafilios Parpalapanadine, this fucking faggot name, to resign abruptly on 11th of February. So Superintendent Silly Parpaninadine, silly name, resigned on the 11th for not doing his job. I can't imagine he can even write his name on paper, never mind be a superintendent. Michael Kutch's attorney, William A. Crace, told The Independent last week that he has begun legal action against the school district and administrators. The administrator's role in Adriana's tragic death will be brought to light, and Mr. Kutch will use every legal avenue possible to get to the truth for his family and the community, Mr. Crace said. And it's a small consolation that this family is going to try to sue to sue these people, the families of these trash girls. Whoever it was attacking her, I assume it was girls. These trash girls and their trash families should 100% be found responsible. And I can't advocate for violence. I can't do that, right? You can be kicked offline or kicked off whatever. So I can't advocate for violence. The only thing I can say is it would be a shame, terrible shame, if these kids and their parents got a taste of their own medicine. It would be a shame. I'm not advocating for anything, just saying it would be a shame. And children should be protected. They're our most valuable resource. They're gonna at least the ones that aren't left wing morons or the pieces of garbage in these articles. But these kids are our future. They're the continuation of our lineage, and they should be protected. They should never have to go through this. This poor young girl should never have to have gone through this bullying this much, and it felt so awful that the only thing she could do was sit in her room feeling absolutely alone and take her own life. It's absolutely horrific that she felt like that was her final avenue. And these garbage kids that are part of these attacks, that are doing this, I mean, their lives should be ruined the way that these kids that have been attacked lives have been ruined. And I'm sorry to start the show on such a just a negative and just horrible stories to start off with, but I wanted to talk about that. Your kids don't like to necessarily talk about what happens to them in school. My son comes home from school. How was school? Good. What'd you learn today? I don't know. What happened today? I don't know. So you really gotta in this day and age, they talked about not allowing the bullying crap back when I was in school. I'm sure all of you remember that, right? And it's absolute garbage. None of the schools put in the proper effort to worry about any of that stuff, and it happens all the time. I mean, the public school systems are basically just shitholes that you have to hope your child survives, funded by taxpayer dollars with shit teachers and a shit teachers union that's trying to shove CRT and gender transitions down all our kids' throats. I mean, honestly, the entire public school system should be shut down, revamped, and turned into something else that's more productive for kids. Even if they're learning from home, or even if there's some sort of other environment that's safer and more conducive to kids getting an education and having a positive experience. The entire thing is just a garbage situation from beginning to end. These kids shouldn't have to worry about their safety. The parents shouldn't have to worry about their safety. And yet, and there are hundreds more stories that we're not even getting to, that I wouldn't even be able to get to, of kids going through this on a daily basis, and they kind of just keep their mouth shut, and they hang out with their friends, or they go play a video game or something, and they go back to their lives. And we're so busy getting beaten up at work, trying to fight to stay at the level of middle class, while the leftist elitist cunts are living it up in private schooling their kids so they don't have any of these problems. So sorry, that's my rant. Just communicate with your kids, help them out, get involved with your school, with other parents that actually aren't garbage and care about the same things that you do, and just stay on top of all this crap. And kick the trash kids out of school. Who cares where they go? Send them to the ghetto. I don't care. If they can't behave like human beings when they're in school with your classmates, they can fuck off. All right. So now that we've gotten that horrible news out of the way, we're just going to kind of, there's some stuff that came up, and I'm just going to kind of go through this. I don't know if it was a slow news week. It kind of is. So I'm just kind of hitting some things here. Biden's latest whack at the suburbs. Okay. Well, we'll change your neighborhood for the worse. I don't know. Some of these kids going to go to my kid's school now. What did Biden say about ethnic kids going to his kid's school? He didn't want his kids going to school in a racial jungle. Those words were spoken by Dementia Joe. 200 pages of radical new rules would require equity plans that go way beyond fair housing. Is it the right to beat up white kids on school buses? Is that one of the equity plans? The goal of fair housing would seem to be quite straightforward, as spelled out in the Fair Housing Act of 1968 and found in realtors' offices across the country. It precludes discrimination in the sale, rental, and financing of dwellings based on race, color, national origin, religion, sex, including, we got to add gender identity and sexual orientation, because that's a thing now, not really. Familial status and disability. Wasn't most of that shit already in there? Like you couldn't say, well, I'm not going to rent to you because you're black, or I'm not going to rent to you because you're a Jew, or I'm not going to rent to you because you're a gay man or you're a lesbian. Wasn't that already in there anyway? In other words, those who can afford to rent or buy should not be precluded from doing so for reasons having nothing to do with the ability to pay. They're not already. But for the Biden administration's Department of Housing and Urban Development, fair housing is more, much more. In proposed regulations, it would touch any jurisdiction that accepts any sort of HUD funding. Fair housing must mean a plan to promote equity in their communities, decrease segregation, and increase access to opportunity and community assets for people of color and other undeserved communities. Translated, that means that the route to upward mobility for disadvantaged minorities lies through their relocation to more affluent communities where they will no longer be underserved. So the people that live in the ghetto coming soon to a neighborhood near you is what Joe would like to do. Now, what I'd love to ask Joe is, would he like them next door to his home in Delaware? I'm willing to bet the answer is going to be no. I remember there was a story with Steph Curry, the basketball player for the Golden State Warriors. Him and his wife are both big, lefty advocates. Help the homeless, help black and brown people and et cetera have more opportunities, and he donates and yada yada. And then his township said that they were going to be building a low-income high-rise or a low-income community, like adjacent to his mansion. And what do you think they did when that happened? So Steph Curry and his wife went to their local board and they opposed the plan to build the affordable housing facility near their $1 million mansion, because they don't want the poor and the unfranchised near their homes or near them and their kids in their life. They don't want any of that. They can go near your home. That's fine. It can go in your city where you are. That's fine. But it's not going to go near them. They'll advocate for it just as long as it doesn't have to be right near them or next door to them. The details as to how this show should be done or run more than 200 pages. Those required to comply will include more than 1,200 cities and counties receiving HUD funding. All will be required to develop equity plans. Such equity could mean anything from building low-income housing to redrawing school district lines for racial or socioeconomic integration, all as assessed by the HUD bureaucracy. That sounds good. I mean, let's redraw the lines and let's do it by equity, right? And then they can punch each other in the heads on the school bus. And everyone can have some of the fun. We don't have to focus on one group. We don't have to have the white kids getting attacked. All the other groups can punch each other in the heads too. So I say, fair enough. Opposition to the affirmatively further fair housing. Boy, I'm in a cunty mood today, aren't I? I am. Yeah, I'm grumpy. I fucking hate everything. This is probably going to be the general just theme of this show today, is me in a cunty mood, hating everything. So I apologize. Or if you're enjoying it, keep on. For regulations will undoubtedly be labeled as a racist defense of white suburbs. This is certainly how Donald Trump's 2020 decision to suspend a previous Obama-era version of the rules was characterized. As CNN Business put it then, Trump was merely protecting neighborhoods with higher-than-average shares of white households from low-income housing. It has of late been a liberal mantra that children's future should not be determined by the zip code where they grow up, and the HUD plan is meant to disperse low-income households where they are presumed to benefit from better schools and parks, which presumably city governments are inherently incapable of providing. The underlying social science rationale cited by HUD is that Harvard economists Raj Chetty and Lawrence Katz, who examined data in the 1990s HUD program called Moving to Opportunity, in which a small number of low-income households were relocated to higher-income houses, also known as moving to punch your kid in the head on the bus. As per HUD's summary, children who move to low-poverty neighborhoods have increased academic achievement, greater long-term chance of success, and less integrational poverty. Yet the actual Harvard study is far more nuanced, although it finds that every extra year of childhood spent in a low-poverty environment appears to be beneficial. It also notes that for older children, those between ages 13 and 18, we find that moving to a lower poverty neighborhood was a statistically insignificant or slightly negative effect. It is hard to imagine a government effort that would limit participation for households based on the age of their children. More broadly, however, HUD fails to acknowledge that sustained upward mobility is based on the constructive life decisions made at the family level, including marriage and employment. These are the building blocks of the economic gains that enable moves to better neighborhoods. It is such moves that must be protected by enforcement of anti-discrimination law. Historically, it was the federal government, specifically the Federal Housing Administration, which engaged in a racial discrimination by refusing to guarantee mortgages in racially changing neighborhoods. Well, they want you to be able to pay your mortgage. It doesn't matter what your color is. Can you pay it? If you can't, it's a problem. HUD would bring us to a new era of color consciousness in housing policy in the name of equity. Comparable life outcomes for those making distinct life choices. Don't be surprised if those objecting include the suburban African American middle class, which has worked hard and played by the rules. Yeah. Their concern was captured in a recent New York Times article about black flight from racially integrated Shaker Heights, Ohio. It quoted a black library staffer who said, "There's a group of African Americans that have achieved and have it together. And then there's a group that's still caught in not having achieved. And I come from the mindset, separate yourselves at all costs from the ones who might still be struggling. Bingo. Suburbs do need a great variety of non-single family housing types, but they should not be coerced by Washington to build new low-income housing projects." And these middle-class black people that they spoke to are 100% correct. They didn't sit back and whine and say we're victims of the system. Our ancestors were slaves, give us reparations. We should live like losers in the ghetto instead of living a normal life like everybody else. Everybody else has the capability of doing that. The left and the left-wing Democrats want blacks and Latinos to believe that they cannot achieve anything without the government's help. They cannot get anywhere without being raised on high by the benevolent Democratic Party. And this is the game that they play on these groups to make them reliant on the Democratic Party and forcibly keep a voter base, right? Because you vote for us, we'll keep putting money on your EBT card, we'll keep passing bullshit stuff like this, so that you'll still be a low-income person struggling, but we're going to put you into a middle-class area somewhere else because you deserve to be there. Did they fix your situation? No. They just put you in with the other middle-class people that are already living in that neighborhood and are living a certain way. They've infused you right into there and haven't really helped your situation. In fact, mentally, they've caused more stress for you now, right? Because people are frustrated that all of you as a collective have been forced into this situation. And it's a recipe for more frustration and more difficult situations. That's not to say that people should be left in the ghetto or left in a bad area. It's that stop with the woe is me shit. Black people have the same rights and abilities as everybody else. Latinos have the same rights and abilities as everybody else. The only thing that's holding you back is your mentality, your reliance on the Democratic wing of the government. That's what's holding you back. None of you have to live this way. None of you have to raise your families this way. And none of you have to be reliant on the Democratic Party this way. Suburbs do a great job. So, this is just more left-wing inclusion, equity garbage from the Democratic Party. And more of just the breakdown and the destruction of the United States. That's what Dementia Joe's working on, and whoever's pulling his strings, is the destruction of the United States. And this is just another way of it. You need to help. You don't need to migrate everybody. Like, I'm trying to move down south to get out of the northeastern blue shithole left-wing states because their ideology is garbage, the leadership is garbage, and the stupid people here who keep voting for Democrat garbage is infuriating. But the reality is, I should not have to move away. I shouldn't have to keep migrating further down south to get to somewhere safer for me and my family, right? And in line with that article, you and your family shouldn't have to live in a poverty-stricken area. And also, you shouldn't have to be forcibly migrated to the middle-class suburbs so that you can just be verbally told, you're now looking at better circumstances, even though your overall life has not changed. Just your living circumstances have changed. And it's impossible to take everybody out of the cities or the ghettos or whatever it is and infuse them into nothing but suburbia and other nicer areas. There's not enough room to go around to make that happen. And if you take the problems from the city and then you bring them to suburbia or to these other areas, you just move the problem from point A to point B. What it needs to be done is to fix the problem. Provide better living standards and quality for these people. Show them that they can have a better life instead of telling them you're never going to go anywhere, so rely on the Democratic Party. It's make the changes where you are so everybody doesn't have to migrate. And community-wise as well, do the same thing. The community getting involved, stopping the gang, stopping the violence, and working together. There's more of you than there are of them, right? And there's trash people for everyone. Trash whites, trash blacks, trash Latinos. Everyone's got the bad apples in their groups, right? There's more of us that just want to live, have our children to have a good opportunity, than there are of them who can't be bothered to put the effort in, can't be bothered to make something of themselves, and just want to stay in poverty and whine and moan about it, and then have their kids be an extension of all that. There's more of us than there are of them. And it's just an improvement in your community can change. It's easier said than done, I'm sure. But making a positive change in your community means you don't have to leave. It can be a nice place to stay, and you can keep your friends and the roots you've put down and your family, and you can make it your own. You don't have to leave and go to some... And that's not to say that you're not wanted. It's saying that you shouldn't have to make the move anymore, that I should have to make the move to get out of blue states, because I don't want to be under their corrupt and crazy leadership. I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to go anywhere in America and have fair leadership for everybody across the board, and not be worried, well, they're going to push left-wing, crazy, lunatic agendas, and I'm one of the ones that's against that, so I'm gonna end up facing problems. So, there's another story that came out this week about a news team. So a news team was, speaking of crime in crime-ridden cities, if I have the right one here, yeah, I believe so. So a news crew came to film a murder scene and talk about a murder that just happened. And allegedly, and we're going to get into it here, the murderer returns to the scene and shoots the fucking camera crew, too. All right. Orange County Sheriff's Office said that Keith Melvin Moses, 19, is believed to have shot 5 people, killing 3. All right. The Florida news reporter who was shot and killed while covering a shooting in Orlando has been identified as Dylan Lyons of Spectrum News 13, according to a fundraiser set up by his sister. Lyons was at the scene where a woman was found dead earlier in the day when the suspect of that shooting returned to the scene and shot 4 others, killing 2, including Lyons, sheriff's deputy said. The Orange County Sheriff's Office said that Keith Melvin Moses, 19, is believed to be responsible and has been detained. Oh, he's been detained, has he? Well, I hope we're not inconveniencing him too much. According to Fox 35, he's accused of being responsible for both shootings, which ultimately left 3 people dead. I'm trying to raise money for my little brother's funeral, Dylan's sister, Rachel Lyons, said in the GoFundMe campaign. He was a reporter for Spectrum News and was ambushed and murdered while covering a story in Orlando, Florida. I believe there's a picture of him right there. He looks like a Latino gentleman. And he's standing next to the Spectrum News 13 wall, I'm assuming at the business. She added, he was an acting father to his niece and nephew who he loved so much. He loved his fiancée and was a devoted son to his mother and father. Dylan would have been 25 years old in March. He was a happy soul and a wonderful person in life. My brother was our baby. He was taken too early from us, she added. John Mina said the officers responded to reports of a shooting along Hialeah Street in Pine Hills in Orlando, Florida at 4:05 p.m. and said that a reporter and photographer with Spectrum News 13 was shot. Mina said one of the News 13 employees were killed but not identify the victim. So here's a picture of the goofy bastard here. It's a black guy. And the reason I say that is and I've said this earlier in the show when I first started it. The left wing and CNN and MSNBC, they would always tell you when it was a white shooter so that they could it could fit their narrative that the whites are on a rampage, white supremacy is hitting everyone. And then when it came to a shooter or somebody doing violence that was of other ethnicity, they would never give the skin color. And never tell. They would just say a man is accused of a shooting, and that's as far as they'd go. So I think everyone should be held responsible for their actions, and you should be aware of who they are and what their color is. And I didn't start that rule. The left wing started that rule. I'm just playing by their rules. So it's a black man with very stupid hair. He looks like his hair is from Dragon Ball Z or something like that. The animated guys that shoot stuff out of their hands. So just some goofy bastard who's a gang member or another piece of garbage. 19-year-old Keith Melvin Moses is a suspect in a series of shooting in Orlando. Here's a picture of him here being brought in by officers. He's kind of got a smirk on his face. Hopefully when Bubba gets to him in prison, he'll lose that smirk. Here's another view of the goofy bastard right here and his stupid hair. His hair has these multiple things sticking up. So maybe if a little midget jumped on the back of his head and grabbed onto one of each little stupid spikes that he has, he could actually control him, like fighting robots or something. After shooting at the News 13 car, Moses then allegedly went to a nearby house and shot. And that doesn't sound very Moses of him, does it? And shot a mother and her 9-year-old daughter. Oh, what a nice kid. Mina said, adding that the 9-year-old had died. More violence of poor children. So it wasn't bad enough that he shot the news crew, but the very first shooting was this poor woman and her 9-year-old. Awesome. According to the Spectrum News 13 staff page, Lyon joined the Spectrum News 13 team as a multimedia journalist in July 2022. Born and raised in Philadelphia, Dylan's journey to journalism was fueled by his desire to tell stories that impact local communities, the News 13 page reads. As a reporter, he's honored to have the unique privilege of being a voice of the voiceless and making sure all communities and stories are treated fairly and equally. The biography added, Dylan is a proud University of Central Florida graduate with a degree in journalism and political science. Go Knights! During his time at UCF, Dylan reported and anchored for the UCF Nightly News, the student-run news station. Before joining the News 13 team, Dylan reported and anchored for WCJB TV 20, a local ABC affiliate in Gainesville in 2020. Dylan was awarded the Best Politics Election Series by the Florida Association of Broadcast Journalists in 2021. He was a finalist for investigative reporting, it also said. So, again, this poor guy's dead, and a piece of trash who could have had a better upbringing and decided to just be a gang member or just absolute human garbage that is not helpful to society in any way, shape, or form. And these are the things that have to be changed. What we don't need to do is take old Moses here and move him into middle America suburbia like Joe Biden wants to do. Moses is not going to do great in suburbia. As a matter of fact, he's not doing great now, obviously. So, we're getting to Pete Buttigieg here, because he be judging your boyfriend's booty, so your boyfriend's booty had better be on point. He judges his boyfriend's booty, and he is most certainly going to judge yours. So, Trump ended up going to Ohio, right? Dementia Joe didn't go to Ohio to see what was going on. Dementia Joe went to Ukraine to go give his buddy Zelensky more money. So Trump goes to Ohio, and Trump is giving out water, buying food for firefighters and volunteers that are helping, and a really smart move on Trump's part. I've had criticism for him lately for making bad decisions and coming out with kind of some crazy things, the NFT cards that he came out with where he's a superhero on it, and talking a whole bunch of shit about Ron DeSantis. I think all of that's been a bad move. But this was a good move on him going to Ohio and doing this. So originally, old Booty Judge here wasn't going to go to Ohio, and he was just going to go on the news outlets and talk about the situation, but he wasn't going to show up there or actually do his job. After Trump goes, he immediately sets up a trip, and Booty Judge goes down there to survey everything. And he's been roasted for this and gotten a lot of criticism, as rightly he should. I mean, he as the transportation secretary, he's utterly useless. He was gone for 2 months while him and his husband adopted a poor child. My prayers go out to that child being raised by those two idiots. And then they took paternity leave, because I guess that's what gay men have to do when they adopt a child. Now, a woman, Luna. Oh, there goes the husky playing with the toy. Here, we're gonna use that after we're done. Okay. So, when a woman gives natural childbirth, she very rightly has to recover from that. It's obviously a very big experience, thing to go through. And these two gay gentlemen also had to get a break from adopting by taking paternity leave for 2 months. So he had taken 2 months at that time, and people didn't even realize he was gone. That's how fucking useless of a human being he is. But Booty Judge is back again, and he likes trains. He just doesn't like trains when they crash. So Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg visited East Palestine, Ohio on Thursday morning, nearly 3 weeks after a train derailment and chemical fallout devastated the small town, whose residents have expressed frustration, saying the issue has received minimal attention from the corrupt Biden regime. Local and state authorities previously evacuated all residents within 1 mile of the February 3rd derailment and started a controlled burn of industrial chemicals on the vehicle to decrease the risk of an explosion, which could have sent shrapnel throughout the small town. Vinyl chloride, a known human carcinogen used to manufacture PVC, I think it was also used in World War I as a weapon, was emitted from 5 train cars in the form of massive plumes of dark smoke visible throughout eastern Ohio and western Pennsylvania. Buttigieg arrived in East Palestine early in the morning on February 23rd. According to a report from CBS News, the former Democratic presidential contender told the outlet that he did not visit the community sooner because he wanted to grant the National Transportation Safety Board and other federal agencies space to lead the safety work. I just wanted to give them space. I didn't want to get in their way. Everyone should have their space, and I didn't want to be right up in your face. Which he says is typically the typical practice of officials in this position. No, it isn't. But I'm very eager to have conversations with people in East Palestine and about how this has impacted them. They don't want to talk to you, mate. The visit from Buttigieg comes one day after former President Donald Trump arrived in the town. Convenient timing, isn't it? And distributed several pallets of bottled water, thousands of gallons of cleaning supplies, and other goods intended to help residents. The former commander-in-chief, who is currently running for a second term in the White House, drew attention to criticisms of the Biden administration's response. Buttigieg, who's presided over several high-profile infrastructure problems during his tenure, because he's a failure, said earlier in the week that he would visit East Palestine when the time is right. He contended on social media, when is the time right? After the train, the choo-choos are gone? Buttigieg, when the choo-choos are gone or when they're there? I know you like choo-choos. Fucking right up your ass. He contended on social media that some in Washington want his visit to be the main focus so that there aren't too many questions about rail safety regulation, who is for and who is against. So I think we're all for safety there, Buttigieg. Why don't we try some more safety? Lawmakers indeed criticized Buttigieg for neglecting to publicly mention the train derailment for more than 1 week after the incident occurred, and residents started reporting health symptoms such as persistent headaches, nausea, and rashes. Republicans and Democrats, including Representative Ilhan Omar, the representative from ISIS, and Senator J.D. Vance from Ohio, pushed Buttigieg to focus on the crisis and criticize other senior officials for their response to the derailment. Buttigieg finally publicly commented on the issue on February 13th through a social media post, which has said he's concerned about the impacts of the derailment on local families. In the 10 days since their lives were upended through no fault of their own, he also said he wanted to share rail safety efforts from the Biden administration and touted historic investments on rail safety allocated through the bipartisan infrastructure law. I haven't seen any of that happen, have you? I've seen 3 or 4 more train crashes and tracks that are fucked up all over the place. There's been video of that. I haven't seen your bullshit infrastructure law do anything. Beyond the release of vinyl chloride, Norfolk Southern warned the EPA that a number of other chemicals, including ethylene glycomonobutyl, ether, and ethylaxyl acrylate, were present at the derailment site. The EPA published a full list of substances only after residents were told they could return to their homes, and has insisted that the air and water quality has not been affected by the incident. A team of Daily Wire journalists and producers who visited East Palestine last week nevertheless reported a lingering smell in the air, an oily chemical sheen in local creeks and rivers, and symptoms such as sore throats and headaches, garnered merely by spending an extended period of time in the small community. President Dementia Joe has not yet visited East Palestine because he's busy in Ukraine giving away more taxpayer money, but took a clandestine trip to Ukraine on Monday to express solidarity with the nation's war effort against Russia. Trent Conaway, the mayor of East Palestine, characterized the mission to Ukraine as a slap in the face in an interview with Fox News. He doesn't care about us, he added. You're 100% correct about that. Mr. Unity does not give a shit about the United States of America. He is trying to destroy it, though. Let me see. So, speaking of Dementia Joe, he's got his first Democratic challenger for the White House. For 2024, as Marianne Williamson confirms plans to launch a bid. This chick is a treat. Let me tell you about Williamson here. It's game on, is it? For race for Democratic presidential nomination as Williamson primary challenges President Joe. Spiritual advisor and best-selling self-help author Marianne Williamson is making a second straight run for the White House and taking aim at President Biden. Spiritual advisor. Williamson, who called for reparations and the Department of Peace. Hello and welcome to the Department of Peace. How can we help you today? Wonderful human beings, the whole lot of you. As a part of her long shot campaign for the 2020 Democratic presidential nomination, I can tell you she did so well, I don't even realize she ran the first time, never mind that she was somebody now. A long shot campaign for 2020 declared she plans to launch her candidacy for president in 2024 in an exclusive interview with Metal News Service on Thursday. Are you bringing the Department of Peace with you? Wonderful sweetheart. I wouldn't be running for president if I didn't believe I could contribute to harnessing the collective sensibility that I feel is our greatest hope at this time, Williamson says. She sounds like one of those fake life coaches that you pay to tell you things you already know. With many leaders in the Democratic Party from both the establishment and progressive wings saying they will support Biden, who is expected in the coming weeks or months to announce his re-election campaign, Williamson becomes the first Democrat with a national following, does she though, to primary challenge the 80-year-old president. Apparently, Biden's going to run on a message that the economy is getting stronger. I think that speaks to the disconnect between the analysis of party elites versus the struggle of everyday Americans. I want to give your money away in reparations to black people who don't deserve them, because they were never slaves. No one alive currently was ever slaves. But I want to give money away to them anyway, for no reason, Williamson said in a recent interview with Politico. In a press release a week ago, Williamson spotlighted that she was exploring the possibility of running for the Democratic nomination for president in 2024. As America gears up for the 2024 presidential election, I'm preparing for an important announcement on March 4th in Washington, D.C., she advertised. An advisor in the White House contender's political circle told Fox News earlier this week that Williamson will travel to South Carolina, New Hampshire, and Michigan and Nevada after March 4th. You can appreciate what the president has done, can we? Defeating the Republicans in 2020, and now the whole country's gone to shit, hasn't it, you dumb cunt? And still feel it is time to move on, Williamson said. We want to move on from you right now, and you haven't even done anything yet. Said Tuesday in an interview on a New Hampshire News Talk morning radio program. What is that, Idiots R Us morning radio show? Williamson told host Jack Heath on Good Morning New Hampshire, Good Morning Dum Dums, that many of us, myself included, feel that in order for the Democrats to win in 2024, we're going to have to be able to offer to the American people something much more than what she says Biden is offering. Well, Biden's offering nothing but destruction and dumpster fires. So you're going to one-up that? The bar's already low. During the 2020 cycle, Williamson was an unconventional candidate who preached the politics of love. She emphasized 6 pillars for a season of moral repair. I can't wait to hear about the 6 pillars. Are the 6 pillars also inside the Department of Peace? Including economic justice, of course. Why is it always the dumb white bitches that are all about, just, if you want black cock, go date a black guy. You don't need to push all of this shit. You can date whoever you want. You don't have to push all this fucking shit. You have looked in the mirror and realized you're white, right? Fucking idiot. She proposed creating a Department of Children and Youth and a Department of Peace, and she pushed for reparations for the descendants of African American slaves. Among her unorthodox acts, she was holding a meditation session while campaigning in New Hampshire. I'm sorry, I missed that. But Williamson struggled with fundraising and failed to qualify for most of the Democratic presidential debates. I cannot imagine how that happened. Days after laying off most of her small staff, she dropped out of the race in January 2020, just ahead of the start of the nomination primaries and caucuses. With caucuses and primaries now about to begin, however, we will not be able to garner enough votes in the election to elevate our conversation any more than it is now, she said at the time. And pointing to what at that moment was a very competitive race for the Democratic nomination, Williamson added that she did not want to get in the way of a progressive candidate winning. You're a progressive candidate, dummy. Williamson traveled to New Hampshire a week ago ahead of her 2024 announcement, and it's likely she'll spend plenty of her time campaigning there going forward. That comes as no surprise, as political strategists have said that if there's anything that's going to be a primary challenge against Biden, New Hampshire appears to be the state where the action will take place. So this dumb bitch is trying to throw her hat in too, and she's going to be a failure this time as she was last time. All right, let's see where we are in my 51-minute rant. We're going to try and end here because we'll just go over this one quickly. The U.S. is sending up to 200 more troops to Taiwan as tensions grow. So we've sent 200 more troops to Taiwan. We're also running drills with South Korea in the event that North Korea is going to attack. So you've got a whole bunch of hot spots that are just popping up all over the place. If we're already taking these actions and it's filtering through to the news at this point, then it's something's already brewing, and it's just getting to us now that we're getting that news. So you got hotspots in North Korea really acting out, China acting out, Russia acting out, obviously, and all of this is turning into more. So who knows? Maybe we're going to have war soon. And like Tim Pool was saying on his podcast, just jokingly, stop teasing and stressing all of us out. Just fucking get it over with and fire the nukes. And he said he was saying it jokingly, and I understand that. I do this on the show too. I say things jokingly, and of course they're going to get taken out of context, or I'm going to get in trouble for it. I don't really care because I said that the show was not going to be PC when I made the show. But there's a little bit of a point there, which is some countries need to pop off and do something, or just shut the fuck up and go back to your life. Because we're tired of getting all riled up, and it's like, do I need to start breaking out the emergency rations and setting up the bomb shelter or something, or can I just fucking get on with my life? I'd love to pick one and know what we're doing. The scientists discover an unprecedented runaway black hole. I'll maybe get to that Monday. I'll keep it with one of the weekend things, because they're finding new stuff about our galaxy, and it's really interesting. And maybe it's going to hit us and just suck us up into it, and we're all going to be fucked anyway. And the one final thing, because I want to end the show on a positive note. And the big dummy John Fetterman has been hospitalized, which that makes me happy. But could be hospitalized for more than a month, a report says. Senator Big Dummy John Fetterman could remain hospitalized for more than a month before returning to office, according to the Wall Street Journal, as Fetterman undergoes treatment for severe depression after admitting to himself to Walter Reed Military Medical Center earlier this week. Senior aide for Fetterman told the Wall Street Journal that the senator will remain hospitalized as doctors try new medications and dosages to test their efficiency, though a hospital stay would likely be less than 2 months. The senator will also participate in talk therapy, in which a patient discusses their mental health with a professional. Does he get to bring his giant computer with him to help translate everything that he's doing so he can understand what everyone's saying while undergoing treatment? The aide added, noting it is very, very hard to apply self-care while handling clinical depression. Some Democratic senators have offered their support to Fetterman, who was also hospitalized for lightheadedness early this month, including Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, that shitbag, and Senator Tina Smith from Minnesota, who tweeted, "Fetterman's hospitalization is a sign of strength, not weakness." Okay, welcome to Upside Down Land. President Joe Biden also offered his support Friday and said Fetterman's decision to seek care is brave and important. No, it isn't. You're falling apart because you're a moron. And you never should have been in any sort of office whatsoever, and that's because the idiot voters in Pennsylvania. It is not uncommon for people like Fetterman, who suffered a stroke during his campaign trail last year, to experience depression after a stroke. It is uncommon for stroke victims to run for office. Stroke victims are normally smart enough not to put themselves through the stress of that. Clinical depression affects about 1/3 of all stroke survivors, according to the American Stroke Association, compared to 5% to 13% of adults who have not suffered a stroke. Fetterman's chief of staff, Adam Gentleson, said in the statement earlier this week the senator had hospitalized himself on the advice of congressional physician Dr. Brian P. Monahan. Gentleson noted Fetterman has dealt with bouts of depression throughout his life, though his condition had worsened in recent weeks. Residual issues stemming from a stroke suffered last year have frustrated Fetterman during his first 6 weeks as a senator. According to the New York Times, Fetterman has reportedly experienced issues with hearing, which has prevented him from engaging with reporters in the halls of Congress. He also now relies on a closed captioning device to understand what others are saying. So how this fucking idiot can do his job as a senator is absolutely beyond me. But we here at the Relief Valve podcast could care less how he comes out of this. All right, so that's the show. I'm in a cunty mood today, so that's why we got what we got here. I hope you enjoyed the show, and I hope you tune in. Thanks to our sponsors, Buzzsprout and Keith and I Love What I Do Media. You can find the show. We audio stream and live stream Mondays and Fridays. It's on, I got to fix Spotify, but we're on iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcast, and the other major streaming platforms. We're also on YouTube and on Rumble. Like, comment, subscribe, and follow the show so we can build up our base, and on Rumble as well, in case I have any problems on YouTube. And email the show, reliefvalvepodcast@aol.com, if you want to leave a comment and or have a question or anything like that. And donate to the show if you enjoy the show. I pay for all of this out of pocket. I'm my own media company right now, basically, a startup media company, and I'm paying for everything out of pocket. And all these other guys that are just kind of half-assing their way through it, being just YouTubers, are doing their thing and making money and selling their stupid coffee. And I'm just trying to get started and get something rolling here myself, fighting against cancel culture and fighting back in the culture wars. So right now I'm working on a Patreon. I'm going to try and finish it this weekend, and I have the PayPal up currently. So anywhere that you listen to the show, there should be a link for the PayPal. And tipping your information broker is greatly appreciated. All right, thanks everyone. I hope your Friday goes well. You get through it and get hammered this weekend. I know I'm going to. I need a break. I'm fucking mentally stressing out. All right, thanks everyone. Have a